Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you. Please be seated. Ooh, happy gospel, huh? It's a happy one. Did you ever think I'd be preaching fire and damnation? Well, I'm probably not going to go that far, but we are going to preach on the gospel today because I think it's really, really important. So here's the deal. Competition is something that is so entrenched within us. And even in our society, we see it as a good thing, don't we? We honor competition. That's a good thing. We're good capitalists. It's all about competition, competition, competition. And it's so ingrained in us as humans that the disciples struggle with this too. And I think it's time that we really, really dive deep into what it is that we're really, truly about. Because here's what the disciples are struggling with. They're running around doing their disciple thing. They're loving life. They're saving people. They're healing people. It's awesome. It's going great. But then somebody else does it too. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is our thing. We got this. We've been doing this. You don't get to come on in here and be saving people and healing people and acting like you got Jesus too. You ain't got Jesus. You're not one of us. Don't you be pretending like you got Jesus. You ain't got Jesus. Can we really dive deep into what that's really about? Can we dive deep into what makes us have those feelings of, we got this. We don't need you up in here. It's a fear that if somebody else is doing it too, maybe there's not enough for me. We all have this fear of scarcity. This overwhelming fear of scarcity. There's not enough. There's not enough God's love. There is not enough money in the world. There's not enough gasoline. There's not enough toilet paper. Apparently, we're worried about that again now. I don't even know. COVID doesn't even impact that, but whatever. We're worried about it. There's not enough of this. There's not enough of that. We have this overwhelming fear of scarcity. And we like to think in the church that we're above that, right? We as Christians, I believe in God's love and all this and all that. Not so much. We have an overwhelming fear of scarcity. So when Jesus comes alongside us and says, calm your jets. It's okay. It's okay. If someone's doing ministry, you say thank you. Okay? Because in no way, the one thing that there is no scarcity of the need for the gospel. There is plenty of gospel to go around in this broken and sad world. There is plenty. But here's the thing. Is that what we were really doing it for? And that's what Jesus has to make them dive into and really, really examine. Were you doing the ministry because you were being Christ in the world? Because you were proclaiming God? Because you were living out the gospel? Or were you doing it because it looked pretty darn cool? And it made you feel really good. And now you're worried if somebody else is doing it, what if they're doing it better than you? And what if suddenly they get all the attention? Because, friends, that ain't the gospel. If we're feeling threatened, if we're feeling worried like there's just not enough, if it feels like something's coming in on us, that ain't God that we were pursuing. That was something else entirely that we whitewashed to make it look really good. And Jesus doesn't throw any punches here, does he? He does not throw any punches, and we're not going to throw any punches today because here's the deal. You and I worry about scarcity. We worry about it as individuals. We worry about it as a nation. We worry about it as a people, and we worry about it as a church and a religion. And that's a sin. And that's how blunt Jesus is with them. Because he gets in her face, doesn't he? He's like, better for you to maim yourself than for you to be living like this. Ooh, that's harsh. That's harsh. But sometimes I think we have to get to a place where we hear it that strongly to think, oh, okay, maybe that's not what we were all about. Let me tell you things that churches are worried about. We worry about budgets. We worry about newcomers. And we worry about whether or not the church down the street's cooler than us. Whether or not that preacher is better than mine. All these are the things that we worry about. Why? Why are we worried about those things? Because here's what the church is and has always been. We are the disciples. We are the disciples. And yes, they lived in community, and community is so very, very important. You will always constantly hear me talk to you about the power of community, the power of the church in our society, because we are a community of believers who support and love and care for one another. But Jesus didn't go around making pockets of communities so they could all hold hands, sing kumbaya, and feel good about themselves. Not what he was doing. Jesus ran around and created communities to spread the gospel, to be Christ in the world, to make a difference, to bring God into this world with us because we need God so very, very desperately. And Jesus knew individually we can't do that work. We need one another. We need community. We need the love and care of a society to do that hard work. But it was never the creation of a small cluster, cliquey group of people hogging their hedge. And I'm going to talk about hedgehogs because I freaking love hedgehogs. Let me just tell you, I think they're adorable. I really, really want one. But my husband, he's got all sorts of rules about pets. Really gets in the way of my life. It's working better than it could be. It's working better than it could be. For up to me, I'd have a big old ranch full of kids and dogs and random animals. Someday I'll tell you about how I had a pet goat. That was before I was married to my husband. So anyway, hedgehogs. So hedgehogs guard their little hedge, right? That's what they're all about. They're all about, this is mine. This right here, this is mine. This is all mine. Y'all back off of what's mine. That's how the disciples are acting right now, right? This ministry, this little community thing that we're doing, this Jesus thing, this is ours. We got this. You don't be coming up in here, up in my hedge. And how often as Christians are we that way, right? We're really worried about what the other churches are doing. Let me just tell you, my friends. There is so much gospel out there to be preached, and there's so many different ways to preach it, and there's so much of a need in our world that all we can say to one another as Christians is, hallelujah. Thank God there's someone else to share this with, because we can't do it alone. But if what we're worried about is growth and money and prestige and sweet cars, it was never about God anyway. And that, because it was whitewashed, makes it an even greater sin. Because it was a huge, huge lie. And we use God to make that lie happen. And that's ugly. That's ugly. So you and I have to come to the same place that the disciples came. What is it that we're really about? What is it that we fear? Because I'm going to tell you just as bluntly as Jesus told the disciples, the church does not exist for us to sit around and sing kumbaya and feel good. It does not exist for us to sit around, drink coffee, and wait to die. That's never been the gospel, ever. In fact, remember what Jesus says? Let the dead bury the dead. Move on. We're doing ministry. And that's what you and I are called to. Better to let the church die. Better to let St. Anne's not exist than to get stuck in a mentality of sitting around waiting to die. Now, you guys are going to be like, oh my God, is she saying St. Anne's is in trouble? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying as an extreme a thing as Jesus was saying to the disciples. Better to be maimed, better to not exist than to live a lie. To live out our arrogance and our need for attention, gratification, stuff. This is my stuff. Better for us to not exist than to perpetuate that kind of ministry. You and I are called to go forth and do ministry. The reason we come together like this is because we need each other. We need each other so desperately because living a Christian life right now, frankly, ever, but now is the time that I live in, it's hard. What you and I are called to do is hard work. And we need each other. We need as many people to do this as possible. And we need all the other churches to do this. We need all the other religions to do this. This is not about hogging our hedge. This is about spreading the gospel, and you can't do that from a place of fear and being closed off in your little silo. We can't do that way. We can only do it by going out, by realizing that what we're really about is not my ministry. This is my thing. This is what I do. I earned this. I put in my time, and I earned this. I didn't put in my time. Don't even ask me what brought me to today. It's a wild and crazy ministry life. I'll tell you that. It's not mine. It's not even ours. It's God's. It is God's. And it's only by working together that we truly proclaim the gospel, that we can let go of a fear of scarcity. And I'm not saying go out and take your credit card and buy all the things because, well, God will provide. I ain't going that far. But I am saying let go of that fear. Let go of this sense that this is mine. This is mine. This is how I get to heaven. It's all about me. It was never about us. It was never about us. And if it ever becomes about me, it's time to let go. So today, I tell you, let go and hold on.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.
My daughter is on the altar today.